Alright, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the 5-Star Supreme Wrestling Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. I have indeed renamed the Tag Grand Prix to the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. And I'm not going to show you my home page, my office page, because I have signed a couple of outside talents from overseas. And I would like them to be a surprise. I accidentally spoiled them for the stream viewers, but, you know, oh well. You get the good surprise then. So I'm going to be showing you the small bit from here, not tag teams. Don't click on that. Don't look at that page. Titles. So I have renamed it from Tag Grand Prix to Dynamo Tag Grand Prix because the whole pay-per-view and tour is called Dynamo Tag, and Tag Grand Prix is kind of a fucking boring name, gonna be honest. So, you know, so first things first, before we even get into the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix, we're doing Selection Sunday. What is Selection Sunday? Well, that's a Pagecroft original, baby, where it's essentially gonna be a really stacked card, where a bunch of people are going to be quote-unquote declaring for the Dynamo tag in themselves. So there's going to be kind of a lot of angles for a Japanese company, but it's just going to be a lot of people wrestling a match. Angle happens, these people are declaring, and then at the end of the show, during one of our post-show press conferences, the brackets will be revealed, where essentially before I end the show, I will just show you my tournament page and show you the two blocks that I have made. Instead of the red stars and blue stars like we had for the J Grand Prix, we have the gold stars and the purple stars for the Dynamo tag. But yeah, so already pre-booked on that show, on the previous show, we had Emiko Miyoshi taking on Kaede Sugiyama in their big blow-off after Kaede was kicked out of Best Ever and replaced by Asami Okubo, and this will be the big blow-off match. And we also have Torment Sorrow are being forced to defend their titles against Wounded Warriors, as management feels like Torment and Sorrow have made a mockery of the tag team division due to their stunt at the last pay-per-view, where Torment and Sorrow essentially recruited Hiromi Yamato to Apex and, you know, just had her screw over her tag partner, wasting what would have been a really good match and a good time for the fans. So they are being forced to defend their titles against Wounded Warriors, who won a 2v2 on the last pay-per-view. And then in between shows, I've also pre-booked 2 4v4s to headline the show. The first Chicas Locas match as Chicas Locas, where Miwako Maya and the Termination will take on Best Ever's Team Sub in the Uprising. And in the main event, Apex's Birds of Prey, Romi Yamato, and Sei Akutagawa will take on Icon Idols, Persian Queens, Heart Saito, and Eri Sato. So yeah, I'll explain the rules of the tournament when we get to the end of Selection Sunday. But other than that, let's just get into Selection Sunday. Alright, kicking off the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix, of course, will be Selection Sunday. I did forget that I did announce this match ahead of time. We will have RikaRina versus the Rose Queens versus Hi-Fly Royalty. That is happening tonight as well. But yeah, Selection Sunday, we might as well just get into it. The only match we didn't announce ahead of time was the opener, as the brand new heel Asami Okubo will will debut against the young upstart Nami Genda in a decent match, 53 rated match, with Asami going over in 12:42, hitting the judo choke sleeper. Good way to start the show. And then immediately after, we go right into the Lucha X Stone blow-off. Dude, not only did these two have good chemistry as tag partners, they also have good chemistry as rivals. That's pretty crazy. But Emiko Miyoshi does defeat Kaede Sugiyama in 15-18 with the Miyoshi Cradle. And then following the match, Best Ever newcomer Asami Okubo, along with Connie Morris and Atsuko Ariyoshi, do not waste time, quote-unquote, throwing out the trash, as Connie Morris brings a chair with her. They put it over Kaede Sugiyama's leg. Asami, Etsuko, and Emiko all hold her down, while Connie Morris goes to the top rope, hits a fucking double stomp, Pillmanizes the leg, and officially writes out Kaede Sugiyama from the company. And I don't know if I mentioned this for the condensed version. I try to keep some things surprises for the condensed version viewers. But Kaede Sugiyama did announce that she will be leaving the company. So this is how we're going to be writing her off. Yeah. So she's gone. And that is why Asami Okubo and Emiko Miyoshi have written her off. And in fact, Asami Okubo and Emiko Miyoshi do indeed declare for the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. So they want to make a fucking impact right out the gate as a new team and hope to win the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. Following that, we have the 2v2v2 where Rina Kasahara has a stale gimmick. Cool. Let me do another fucking Rina needs gimmick. Putting that in the chat. That's my reminder page, is the fucking chat where I will look at my own types, my own messages. But yeah, in the 2v2v2, there's no order of elimination. Hi-Fly Royalty just pins Zofia Jankovic to get the victory here in this 2v2v2. And following that, it was a really intense 2v2v2, very even. And after the match, all three teams declare for the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix and promise to raise hell upon one another if they ever cross paths during the Grand Prix itself. And RikaRina also make a note that down to the mat, there are other members in the Quad Squad, the subgroup of Chicas Locas. They are not here tonight. However, RikaRina do make a note that they will also be members of the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. So, yeah, next segment, we have the World Tag Team Championships. Torment Sorrow versus Wounded Warriors. Gets a nice 61. Thanks a lot, fucking creative finish. God damn. This was the only creative finish that would have worked on a pay-per-view that we got, and it fucking blew chunks. But, yeah, in a match that was kind of supposed to be punishment for Torment Sorrow, quote-unquote making a mockery of the tag division during the last pay-per-view, Wounded Warriors do give it their all, but Torment and Sorrow are just the better team tonight, and Maki Yoshifumi hits the Affliction on Kaori Takanouchi, making defense number 6 of the tag titles. And we have a two-part angle following that. First things first is Wounded Warriors. They essentially take this loss on the chin, and they're like, we're going to come back stronger and come back immediately for those tag titles at the December show when we win the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. And when they leave, Torment and Sorrow say, look, obviously if you win the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix, you get a tag title shot at the next pay-per-view. So, we think we're gonna take it easy. We'll take it. We're gonna take it easy this month, and yeah, I guess we'll just watch from afar. You know, there's no need to defend these titles if there's no real challenger for this month. So I mean, why not? So 54 rated match or angle for the Torment Sorrow, saying that they're not gonna try at all this month. Following that, we have a 72 rated match between Chicas Locas and Best Ever, where Chicas Locas do win their debut match as an official stable when Miwako pinned Chieko Kita with the Katsukawa Bomb. Good old 72 rated match. Maya with a 70, Etsuko with a 75. Etsuko can really fucking pull it out during pay-per-views, so that's good. And then following that, we have another dual part angle. First part is the termination they declare for the Dynamo Grand Prix, and Best Ever, they kind of both declare. We already knew Team Sub were going to be in it, but the termination, they declare, and Best Ever are like, you know, we're not going to get fucking upstate. You already beat us. There's no need for a fucking victory lap, alright? It's kind of disrespectful to be like, oh, and we're going to be doing this. So you know what? We're also going to be doing this. The Uprising, they're also going to be in the Grand Prix. And we're not going to be too kind to you. If we happen to be in the same block, we're going to kick the shit out of you now. So consider this a warning. And then they all leave. But Miwako and Maya, they kind of stay into the ring. And they're like, at the last pay-per-view, I guess this isn't their fuck, I'm kind of stupid. No, because they formed Chicas Locas after the pay-per-view. That's right. So they weren't technically Chicas Locas. So this was still their debut match. So ignore me. Miwako and Maya say, look, we pretty decisively as a unit defeated Apex, and I think that's cause for another world title match for me, right? And then Maya's like, yeah, I agree. I don't see anything wrong with that. And so Miwako just kind of looks. She's like, I better get an answer before long, Fuyuko. And yeah, main event. Who's in the main event other than Birds of Prey, Sei and Romy, defeating the Icon Idols in 21 minutes when Romy pins Eri with the Yamatotal. This was the main point of this was to continue the Eri Sato and Romy Yamato feud. The rest of these people were just kind of here, so I didn't do the one-on-one match just yet. Higa got an 87. Who's shocked? They're great. All these girls are great. I mean, Romy's getting there, but the rest of them are pretty fucking great right now. 82 rated match. Romy gets the victory. And after the match, Romy gets in Eri Sato's face and says that she will be declaring with a real tag team partner, not some fucking loser like Eri Sato. She's going to be declaring for the Grand Prix with Sei Akutagawa. And Eri immediately responds with, you know what, then fine. You want to declare like that? I'll declare with Heart Saito. Her tag partner's out, so we're going to declare. It's pretty obvious that Heart was unaware that this was happening. However, she is not against it. She is more than fine with being in the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. And then the second part of this angle is, of course, Miwako and Maya coming out and immediately demanding a response from Fuyuko Higa and Jemi Onishi, who respond with, well, unfortunately, I can't give you a world title match because, yeah, me and Jemmy, we're gonna be in the Dynamo Grand Prix. And Miwako and Maya are like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you shitting me? Fine, then we're gonna be in the Dynamo Grand Prix. So both Miwako and Maya and Birds of Prey have declared for the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. And then afterwards, we have the press conference that showcases the brackets, which I will show you in a second. And Devil Karubi says, you know what, since Torment and Sorrow want to talk shit, then they think they don't have challengers for the pay-per-view. They will, because I've just realized now that this angle I've made is really kind of fucking stupid. I just realized that it's kind of stupid. Oh, fuck. I don't know if I want to run it now. I don't... Alright, I'm gonna edit this on the fly. I'll explain what the original angle was in a second, but... So essentially Devil says, since Maki and Yu want to run their mouths saying they're going to take it easy, then, we'll have them defend their titles at the Dynamo Tag semi-main event. They'll run the semi-main event, and what we'll do is we'll have a second chance match for anyone that finished 2nd through 5th in the Dynamo Grand Prix, I think. Let me... Oh, God, I'm doing this on the fly. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. Fuck. You know what? Scrap the angle. Fuck it. So I booked it. I'm like, oh, so we'll do a really fun thing where, like, since Maki and Yu wanted to run their mouths, Devil's gonna get one up over them by saying whoever gets the second most points in the Grand Prix without advancing to the next round will get a tag title match. And then as I'm saying it, I've realized, wait, the grand prize for winning the Dynamo Tag is a tag title match. So this is really kind of fucking stupid. Why are losers getting a tag title match and they didn't even have to win the thing? Ooh. Yeah, so we're gonna scrap that. Fuck. Okay. You have 72 for the pay-per-view. Ignore that end there. Alright. Higa was great, guys. Maya did really well also. Megumi, I guess. She had a great performance. Sure. $18,000. At least we made money. At least we made money, guys. Oh no. I didn't even realize how dumb that sounded until I fucking said it right now. Yeah, they're just there. They were off screen, in my defense. They weren't there. So Devil's just kind of talking shit. They were off screen. They weren't there. Here's the tournaments. If I can find them. There it is. All right. So here's the gold stars. Gold stars, we have Miwako and Maya, the Uprising, Chibi Violence, which is Asami Okubo and Emiko Miyoshi. Birds of Prey, Down to the Mat, the Persian Queens, Eri Sato and Heart Saito, and Queens of the Damned of Olay fame, which is Queen Amazon and La Hija del Diablo. And then in the purple stars, we have Determination, Wounded Warriors, RikaRina, Team Sub, Lillian Rose from QAW, the Rose Queens, which are different, Hi-Fly Royalty, and of course Romi Yamato and Sei Akutagawa. So yeah, let's get into the tag show, and in the meantime, I'm gonna try to figure out how to fix the card now that I've realized how stupid it turned out. Alright, time to kick off the Dynamo Tag. We got a really good card for night 1 here. And a couple things. First thing, I figured out a workaround. So instead of the third place team or teams, so if there happens to be a fucking 4 or 5-way tie between all the teams that did not win their division but got the most points in total. So let's say the winner of the gold and purple blocks both got 10 points, and then we had 2 people in the gold block finish with 8 and 1 person in the purple block finish in second with 8, then those 3 teams will also get this chance. So essentially, any third place team at the pay-per-view will receive a match against the current tag team champions as punishment for them running their mouth. And then if they can win, then they will be added to the December pay-per-view match. So it's essentially going to be a second chance match for the people that finished third. You get one final chance since you had such a good showing, but couldn't win the block, because there can only be one winner in each block. And so yeah, that's what the post-show angle was about. Other than that, officially, I was so flustered by the way the show ended, I forgot to explain how the blocks work. So it's going to be the same that it did in the J Grand Prix, where if you win, you get 2 points, if you draw, you get 1 point each, and if you lose, you get nothing. And instead of the J Grand Prix, we aren't going to have a playoffs. Whoever gets the most points in the gold block will face whoever gets the most points in the purple block. If there is a tie, then opening the Dynamo Tag. So let's say the Determination and Wounded Warriors both tie. They both finish with the most points with 10. We'll keep going with 10. They both finish with 10 points. Then opening the show, they will have a match, and then the winner will advance to the finals. So, yes. So if you win, if you tie, that's what happens. If there's a fucking 8-way tie, then goddammit, it's an 8-way elimination match. Fuck it. So yeah, but any third place team will then get a chance to fight the tag champions, and if they can win, they will get a title match as well. A second chance match, we'll call it, to semi-main the show. Because I booked some stupid bullshit, and now I've got to work around it. Other than that, let's get into the first night, where we still have our Young Lion matches. Connie Morris and Kinye get a 44 against Iyuko and Sayuri, and Apex get a 57 against Aikira, Kiyomi, and Mitsu. Kicking off the show, we have a 64 rated match. Romi Yamato and Sei Akutagawa defeat RikaRina to get 2 points to kick off the tournament. Great match. 55, where Queens of the Damned make their 5 SSW debut. And I was explaining this to the live stream viewers, but the reason I chose Queens of the Damned was because I thought it was cool. I thought it was like a cool storyline that, like, since Olay collapsed, they haven't teamed up since. CILL didn't pick them up, and Diablo's kind of been out of consistent work since, and Queen Amazon went to QAW, so they are reuniting for the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix, and in their return as a tag team, they go to a time limit draw with the new team, Chibi Violence. So good match, good 55 rated match. Queen Amazon's very good. Next segment, Lily and Rose make their debut. I picked them because I thought it would pop Tyler. They take on Wounded Warriors, and they are not as successful as the Queens of the Damned, as Kaori pins Debbie Rose in 13-13 to get Wounded Warriors 2 points in the beginning of the tournament. We then have Down to the Mat versus the Uprising, and in quite a shocker, I would say, a little bit of a shocker, Down to the Mat do get the upset victory here in 14-14 when Hana Ajibana pins Talia Quinzel, and there's a little scuffle. I put the wrong people in this for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking. Jesus Christ. Oh, this is going off to a great start. This was supposed to be the Uprising and RikaRina. I don't know how I got these 4 people in here. I don't know what was going through my goddamn head. My bad. There was supposed to be a scuffle between the Uprising and Down to the Mat. Sorry. Yeah, Hi-Fly Royalty and the Rose Queens are here. So immediately after that fun 2v2v2, we do get, indeed, Hi-Fly Royalty and the Rose Queens on the first night. And like the teams promised to each other, they did not go easy. It was one hell of a brutal match, but in the end, Machiko pins Thea Davis in 13-30 to secure 2 points for them. We then have Icon Idol's Internal Warfare, Eri Sato and Heart Saito versus the Persian Queens. 15 minutes, 34 seconds, great match. But in the end, the Persian Queens do get the victory, pinning Eri Sato with the Yuma special. And yeah, 68 rated match. And semi-main, we have the Termination versus Team Sub. In my opinion, the 2 strongest teams in the Purple Division will be duking it out to kick off the Grand Prix after Best Ever kind of were not happy with the Termination, trying to upstage them after beating them. They're like, there's no need for this victory lap. So, yeah, they kick off their tournaments against each other, and unfortunately for Team Sub, in 18 minutes and 3 seconds, Unstoppable Tai does pin Chieko Kita with the Tai Bomber, and Team Sub go down once again, so their quest to get back to the tag titles is not off to the strongest start. And in our main event, Miwako and Maya versus Birds of Prey go to a 20-minute time limit draw. The time limits are 20 minutes. I did also forget to mention that, but I'm sure you figured that out by the other time limit draw this match. And yeah, Miwako and Maya draw with Birds of Prey. 20-minute time limit match, fucking 82 to kick off the Grand Prix. And afterwards, Miwako and Maya are like, this just solidifies our point that I deserve a title match. And this feud is not fucking done, no matter how hard you try to run from me. 67 to finish the show. Before I finish show, I want to try to remember to go back and show you the tournaments so I don't have to sit through that whole loading screen, so that neither of us have to sit through that whole loading screen before seeing the results. So this is what the brackets are looking like after night 1. By the time we get to like night 4 or 5, I'll go into more in-depth, like, oh, these people are leading and all this and that. But yeah, this is how the brackets are looking after the end of night 1. We get a 70. Queen Amazon and La Hija del Diablo were way too over for this show, apparently. We made $4,700, and we're getting really big in Hokkaido. So, yeah. Other than 64 being kind of fucking stupid and doing stupid shit, I'd say the tournament's getting off to a great start. Alright, night 2 of the Dynamo Tag Tour. Headlining tonight, we're going to have Birds of Prey versus the Uprising in the gold block. And in the purple block headlining, we have Team Sub versus the Rose Queens. There's some really fun matchups here tonight, so let's get into it. We kick off with our Young Lion matches, of course. Kinye and Kane defeat Ayuko and Kiyomi. Oh, they have excellent chemistry. Okay, cool. 64 for the tag champs defeating Mitsu and Sayuri. And the last one, fuck me, I put Akira over. Are you shitting me? The young upstarts fall from grace? Fuck me. What if I... We're gonna try. Damn it! Okay, fuck, man. Oh, that didn't, whatever. I'll bury it. It didn't, we're not retconning it, but, not gonna acknowledge that ever again. Kicking off the tournament, we have Hi-Fly Royalty defeating Lillian Rose, 61 rated match, really good stuff. Lillian Rose still have yet to get a point in the tournament, but they're outsiders, so they're already fighting an uphill battle. It's still only night 2, so they got a chance to make some noise. Yeah, but Hi-Fly Royalty with 2 points, another 2 points for them. 65 for the following match is Down to the Mat. Continue their hot streak. They get another upset, this time against Eri Sato and Heart Saito. Down to the Mat are now 4 points in 2 days. They have one of the best possible records you can have. And yeah, just kind of a hot streak to kick off this tournament for them. I don't really think anybody was expecting this. So yeah, Down to the Mat going hard. 65 for that. 62 for Wounded Warriors versus Romy and Sei, where Romy Yamato pins Chitose once again with the Yama total, gets the victory, and that's another 2 points for the team of Romy and Sei representing Apex. In the gold block, we have Queens of the Damned versus the Persian Queens. A queen off. Who will get ignited? I don't know the word. Exonerated? Knighted? I don't know. It will be Yuma Maruya and Megumi Nakajima after Megumi pinned La Hija del Diablo with the Super Explosion Suplex, getting themselves another 2 points here in the tournament. 59 for Chicas Locas taking on Chicas Locas with RikaRina taking on the Termination. Termination get the victory here tonight in 15-15, getting another 2 points for that duo. And yeah, solid match in the purple block. Up next in the gold block, so we have Chibi Violence versus Miwako and Maya. And in 15-55, Maya submits Asami Okubo with the triangle choke. Miwako and Maya get their first win, 3rd point of the tournament, while Asami and Emiko do not have a single win. They have 1 point. They drew on the last show, but clearly not the dominating start that they were probably hoping for as a debuting tag team in this tournament, as this gets a 69. The Purple Stars main event gets a good 66 as the Rose Queens take on Team Sub. The bit of a gamble creative finish was a success, so that's good to see. Probably boosted the match rating from like a 59 to a 66, so that's great. But Team Sub may waste no time trying to recoup their loss on night 1 as Atsuko submits Zofia Jankovic to get their first 2 points of the tournament here tonight. And in our main event, Birds of Prey versus the Uprising gets a nice 77 because when in doubt, you Birds of Prey it out. But unfortunately, to the shock of everybody, the Uprising uprise and upset Birds of Prey here tonight, getting the victory in 19-15. The match almost goes to a time limit draw, but Salinas Valette locks in the prawn arm lock on Gemi Onishi, and with nowhere to go, Gemi Onishi taps out, and the Uprising have just upset probably, if not the strongest team in this tournament. And yeah. Come on. Okay, so here's how the tournament is looking now. In the gold block, we have 2 teams with 4 points. Persian Queens were probably expected, but down to the mat, like I said, kind of a Cinderella run to start things off, also with 4 points. But, oh, look at that. On night 3, look who's going head-to-head. It's down to the mat, and the Persian Queens will be taking on each other in night 3. So only one team will be able to stay undefeated unless it goes to a draw. Who knows? Honestly, with the way down to the mat have been fighting, it might go to a draw. And on the purple block, we have 3 different teams with 4 points. The Termination, Hi-Fly Royalty, and Romy and Say. And look at that. Hi-Fly Royalty are taking on Romy and Say on the next night. Both teams are undefeated. How will that one go? And the Termination are taking on the Rose Queens, who yet to have a single point. But yeah, no draws in the purple block right now, but that might change very soon. So finish the show. We get a good 71 rated show because when in doubt, you birds of prey it out. And we made $4,800. The finances are coming in strong. Other than me personally, apparently doing everything in my power to fuck up this tournament, it's going really well. So let's get into night 3. All right, day 3 of the Dynamo Tag is here. As I mentioned last time, we do have 2 different matches where 2 undefeated teams are going head-to-head. In the gold block, it will be Down to the Mat versus the Persian Queens, and in the purple block, it will be Romy and Say versus Hi-Fly Royalty. In our main event tonight, we have a good matchup between the Uprising and Miwako and Maya. And other than that, let's get into the show. I didn't check booking analysis. They're all slightly overused. We're chilling. Getting into the Young Lion matches, Connie Morris and Kinye team up once again because they have good chemistry for a 46 against Kiyomi and Sayuri. 42, I fucking made sure Nami Gendo won this match with a 42 rated match. And then Monster and Maki, both, god damn it, there's another gimmick getting stale. Okay, let me do that now because I almost forgot last time. Monster, fuck, what else should I do? Dominant, just fucking, shit, alright, you know what, just drop it. We don't need gimmicks in this company anyway. Alright, so, opening the tournament matches, we have Team Sub versus Lillian Rose. Great way to start the show. It gets a 68. Chieko Kita pins Kate Lily with a head kick, and that's another 2 points for Team Sub. They lost their first match, but ever since then, they've been pretty hot. And once again, Lillian Rose still yet to really get anything going for themselves, but hopefully they can turn it around soon enough. 65 for Chibi Violence defeating Eri Sato and Heart Saito, and quite the opposite of what's going on with Down to the Mat, it seems, as Eri Sato and Heart Saito, they weren't necessarily favorites. The Gold Stars block is pretty fucking stacked, but going 0-3 to start the tournament is not what anybody expected, as Chibi Violence do start to get things going. Emiko pins Heart Saito with the Lucha X Judo, kind of a wink and a nod to her old team name is the team finisher of Chibi Violence. And, yeah, good match, 65 rated match. Heart Saito got a 70. I'm sorry you had to lose. Up next in the purple block, we have RikaRina defeating the Wounded Warriors when Rina fucking nails Chitose with a spinning back fist. Gets the victory in 14:37. 52 rated match. 66 for Down to the Mat and the Persian Queens, and in 16 minutes and 20 seconds, it is the Persian Queens who are the ones that continue to stay undefeated in their block, as Yuma hits the Yuma special on Hoshiko Tagawa, gets the victory. Great match. Hana and Hoshiko have great chemistry. 66. You alright, bud? Sorry, my dog's coughing again. If you gotta throw up, you can throw up. It's okay. I'll clean it up. Oh, poor guy. I don't know. I don't think. Oh no. Oh, sorry, buddy. 66 for that. 61 for the Termination versus the Rose Queens, as the Rose Queens upset the Termination The Determination's undefeated streak is over, of course, and surprisingly to the Rose Queens. They're not like pushovers or anything, but, you know, you weren't expecting it. Thea Davis pins Toku in 13:55 with the Thorn to be wild, and the match gets a 61. 76 for Queens of the Dam versus Birds of Prey. Insane match. Gemi Onishi gave me a creative finish, which fucking ruled. Beautiful match. It was only 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Gemi pins Queen Amazon with the Flying Dagger. Gets Birds of Prey another 2 points in the tournament. Next up, we have our semi-main, the undefeated Romy and Sei versus the undefeated Hi-Fly Royalty. But it is only Romy and Sei who can stay undefeated, as they defeat Hi-Fly Royalty in 17 minutes and 6 seconds when Sei pins Machiko. 64 rated match, and it's time for the main event. And guys, the Uprising have done it again, completed another upset, and immediately have solidified themselves as a legitimate threat to win this block, defeating Miwako Katsukawa and Maya in 19 minutes and 9 seconds after Talia Quinzel hits Maya with the Rising Tide, gets the victory, and that's another 2 points for the Uprising. How are they doing overall in the bracket? They have 4 points. They're not leading, of course. The Persian Queens are still undefeated with 6, but they are in second, tied with Down to the Mat, and they have solidified themselves as legitimate forces in this tournament so far. Down to the Mat are a little more arguable. Their matches weren't as Their matches weren't as difficult. I guess they faced the Uprising. So you know what? Fucking I'll shut up. If the Uprising's one loss is Down to the Mat, then they're both legitimate contenders. In the purple block, Romy and Sei, of course, are also still undefeated, leading the way. But Hi-Fly Royalty, the Determination, and Team Sub are not far behind, only down 1 win. All it takes is Romy and Sei to lose a match, and for one of those teams to win a match, and then it's a tie once again in the purple block. Overall, the show got a 66. Good stuff. $4,800. We gained some pop in Hokkaido. And that is it for day 4. I need to get my little puppy dog some water, so I'll be back. Alright, night 4 is here. What do we got tonight? Main event, we've got Aryan Heart versus Birds of Prey. We've got Romy and Sei, who are still undefeated, taking on Team Sub in the purple block main event. Uprising have been on a hot streak. They're against Queens of the Dam. Persian Queens still have a perfect record. They're taking on Chibi Violence. And opening the tournament matches, we have the Determination versus Wounded Warriors. And yeah, those are really all the notable matches we have going into tonight. So kicking things off, we have Kinye and Nami Genda starting. They win 45. Nami gets another victory. Nami will pin every single match now, because I accidentally had her lose that one. 37 for Connie Morris and Kiyomi. And a 62 for Monster and Yu, defeating Aikira and Sayuri. Alright, so kicking off tournament matches, we have the Determination defeating the Wounded Warriors in 10-15 when Unstoppable Tai... I keep doing that. I keep fucking doing that. I'll read Unstoppable Tai pinned, and I'll say Unstoppable Pi. So, great. Unstoppable Tai hit the Spike Flapjack, pinned Kaori Takanouchi, and the Determination get another 2 points into their pretty impressive run here in the Grand Prix so far. 58 to kick things off. 66 for Queens of the Dam versus the Uprising. The Uprising taking two shocking victories in nights 2 and 3 and continuing their momentum by defeating Queens of the Damned here in 12 minutes and 11 seconds. Good match, 66 rated. Next, we have a 56, and Lily and Rose finally get on the board here. They don't get a victory, but they do take the Rose Queens to a time limit finish. The Rose Queens, hot off the heels of upsetting the Determination on the last show, but they can't keep the momentum going as they can't find an answer for Lily and Rose, but at least Lily and Rose also couldn't find an answer for them. So, good little match here, 56. Great stuff. Next up, we have a 71. As Down to the Mat take on Miwako and Maya. Not the team you want to face. after suffering your first loss in the tournament, and the losing continues, unfortunately, for Down to the Mat, as the faction leaders, Miwako, Katsukawa, and Maya, get the victory in 15-14, securing 2 more points for those two. Next segment, we have another draw in the Purple Stars, as RikaRina and Hi-Fly Royalty go to another time limit draw here. Good match. Good performance from most of the girls. Yukiko needs to do a little fucking better. But other than that, pretty good match. Both teams get a point. Next, we have a 69 rated match as the Persian Queens take on Chibi Violence. Chibi Violence upset Eri Sato and Heart Saito in the last show. But they cannot keep the momentum going as Megumi and Yuma continue their perfect record in the tournament so far, defeating Chibi Violence here tonight. Next, we have our third, and I promise the main event between Eri and Heart and Birds of Prey will have a finish. Our third time limit draw in a row. Romy and Sei cannot keep their perfect record going, but they are still undefeated as they go to a time limit draw with Team Sub. With Team Sub, they're not doing horrible per se, but definitely not as good as Atsuko would love, as you can't win the tournament if you don't win the block. But yeah, that's a point for each team. Unfortunately for Team Sub, that is not 2 points. But yeah, 66. And going into our main event, Eri Sato and Heart Saito have had the worst possible start to the tournament for their team, going 0-3, getting upset 2 different times, I would say. I don't think them losing to Megumi and Yuma is an upset, but Down to the Mat and Chibi Violence, I would say, are kind of upsets. And immediately after that, going into a match against Birds of Prey, in 18 minutes, they get their first fucking points. They upset Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey not having this insanely dominant run that everybody was expecting them to have. They are slipping, kind of. I don't know if the thought of having to defend her title once again against Megumi Nakajima is weighing on her. But Birds of Prey just could not find it once again as they give Eri and Heart their first points in the tournament after Heart hits the Flying Tiger Knee, pins Jemi Onishi, and yeah, great way to finish the show. Tournament results, how are we looking after night 4? Like I said, Persian Queens still have a perfect record, but the Uprising emerging as the strongest contenders to overthrow them. Not Birds of Prey, who only have 3. Not Eri and Heart, who have just gotten their first point. Not even Miwako and Maya, who have 5. No, it is the Uprising with 6. 3 wins and 1 loss are the biggest threat to the Persian Queens right now. In the purple block, leading the way is surprisingly Romy and Sei, still undefeated, having 3 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw, but not far behind at all are the Termination with only 1 loss to 3 wins. Team Sub with 5, Hi-Fly Royalty with 5. Yeah, a really close groups. I mean, you got, Lily and Rose and the Wounded Warriors are not doing too hot right now, but in the grand scheme of things, every team still has a chance to win this thing. As with the J Grand Prix, by night 4, it was kind of obvious it was like 1 or 2 different people could come out of the block. But yeah, finishing that show, 63 rated show. Lily, Rose, and Sophia got penaltied for us, but I don't really care. 63 is a great performance, and we made $4,800. We are rolling in dough. The financial burden is over as we go into night 5, which will be headlined by the Persian Queens and Birds of Prey. Alright, we are past the halfway point of the tournament so far. Tonight, like I said, main eventing, we got Persian Queens and versus Birds of Prey. We got Termination opening against Lily and Rose. Headlining the purple block, we have Team Sub versus RikaRina. And the Uprising versus Eri and Heart is the other fun match we have. I mean, they're all fun matches, but in terms of big player versus big player. Yeah. Okay, so we'll kick things off with Monster Ishimura and Connie Morris teaming up for some reason. Good, I guess. Monster Ishimura might be a tag girl. I'm starting to realize her performances are a lot better when she's teaming. I might try to grind to get that Monster and Sei team going, because that would be a fun team. I mean, Sei's probably got a lot of potential as a single star, but while the main event scene is blocked up with star power, I might try and power through to get Monster and Sei that 100 rated experience. 47 for Nami Genda and Kinye Mushishibo, where I made fucking sure that Nami Genda pinned Aikira this time. Never happening again. 47. And finishing the Young Line matches, Maki Yoshifumi beats Mitsu Momotani. 55-65 for Maki. Really good performance. Kicking off the tournament matches first, we got Determination securing another 2 points for themselves in a 10-minute match after Toku pinned Kate Lilly with the Spike Flapjack. 66 rated match. Kate Lilly had a 60. I mean, goddamn. If these overseas wrestlers had any sort of popularity in Japan, they would be on the roster instantly. 66 for that match. 60 for Down to the Mat versus Chibi Violence, and in 13 minutes and 20 seconds, Down to the Mat do start to get their momentum back. They started out the tournament really hot and kind of fizzled out, getting a perfect 2-2 record, but now they're once again in the net positives with a 3-2, 3 wins to 2 losses after Hana pinned Asami, and there is just some shit talking going on. I meant to script that. My bad, girls. I'm sorry. I must have forgot to type one out for you. But yeah, essentially, they're just going back and forth. Like, Chibi Violence are like, you two are a bunch of fucking losers. You're a bunch of flukes. You've never had a chance of winning this tournament. And Down to the Mat are like, all right, yeah, we're the flukes. Yeah, you were the ones that lost. Just shit being thrown back and forth. These two teams do not like each other. 53 for Wounded Warriors versus Hi-Fly Royalty, and in back-to-back shows, Hi-Fly Royalty go to a time limit draw, this time against Wounded Warriors. Wounded Warriors won their first match in the tournament, and haven't won one since. So hopefully, in their eyes, this draw is a good way to get momentum back on their side. And after the match, Michiko Matsuda actually takes some time to really give props to Chitose, and she's like, since you came back, you've been better than any of us have ever seen you before, and even though you can't, you seem to have a problem finishing the matches, I just want you to know, during that Triangle Championship match that you debuted in, that re-debuted in, I genuinely feared for my championship, and I want to take the opportunity to offer an extension that next time we have the chance to go to a full 30-minute time limit, that we take it. Because we can fucking make magic out there. And Chitose and Kaori are like, yeah, we'll be down to fight you anytime. But we're still focused on coming back and possibly getting that second chance title contention match. But yes, next time they're both available, they would be more than happy to settle the score between these two. 51 for that. Our next match, real fun match, Miwako and Maya versus Queens of the Damned. Queens of the Damned can't seem to shake some of the best that the company has to offer. Unsurprisingly, Maya submits Queen Amazon with the triangle choke. Match gets a 65. Maya and Miwako are fucking crazy good. Next match, we have the Rose Queens versus Romy and Sei. And after the Rose Queens went to a time limit draw, giving Lily and Rose their first points in the tournament, it wasn't like humiliating per se, but it was a moment where it's like, fuck, we really need to go back to the lab, figure some shit out, and come back stronger than ever. And that is exactly what the Rose Queens do. Coming back stronger than ever, handing Romy Yamato and Sei Akutagawa their first loss in this tournament after Thea Davis pins Romy Yamato with the Thorn to be Wild, kind of stopping any momentum that Romy and Sei seem to have going for them in the tournament. 66 rated match. Next, we have a 69 rated match between the Uprising and Arisato and Heart Saito. And yeah, I mean, momentum is momentum. And after starting 0-3 Arian Hart kind of keep it going here tonight. They've really regained their confidence, it seems, and went to a time limit draw with one of the most surprisingly strong teams in the tournament, fucking drawing with the Uprising. So Arian Hart trying to bounce back. It doesn't seem likely that they'll win the block, but again, if they can finish in a third place spot, whether it just be them or other teams across both blocks, they will get a chance to fight for the tag titles. So that's going to be what they're going for. The Uprising look to try to win it, but yeah, time limit draw. 69 for that. In our semi-main, RikaRina give it their fucking all. They really do try to win this match. It was a strong effort from them, but Team Sub refused to lose refused to not win 2 matches in a row, and they come back better than they looked last show. And in 15:52, Chieko Kita hits the strong head kick, pins Rina Kasahara, gets a great match for everybody. Atsuko was awesome. And in the main event, the Persian Queens are looking to continue their perfect record in the tournament, but they're up against, don't let the record deceive you. Birds of Prey are still possibly the strongest, one of the, if not the strongest team in the company. So Persian Queens, Birds of Prey, and Birds of Prey do indeed, I forgot about the angle. I'll get to the angle in a second. Fuck it, I'm having the momentum going. Birds of Prey do in fact end the perfect run for the Persian Queens, defeating them in 1850 in the rematch of the match that cost Yuma the chance to challenge for the world title during this Fuyuko Higa reign. Full rematch, and we get the exact same result. History repeats itself. Fuyuko Higa pins Yuma Maruya once again, following the death from above. So the angle here, I'm sorry, I forgot about it, and I forgot to hit go back, but whatever. I'll explain the angle as it's simming. So after Team Sub versus RikaRina, Atsuko tries to do one of her classic, what is with these fucking teams trying to unite? Look at this. Another stable coming in, trying to think they're better than best ever. Nobody's better than best ever. You and the rest of Chicas Locas are on a hot streak, but you will not be able to continue it. And RikaRina, they don't back down, and they're like, look, you can talk all the shit you want, but we just took what many people think are one of the best teams in 5SSW history. We just took them to a 16-minute match. We gave it our all, and we almost won. And I know we didn't win, but goddamn, the more we wrestle you, the more any of us in Chicas Locas wrestle you, the more that any of us in this company wrestle you, we all kind of realized that this stable was a lot fucking better when Shiori Japensha was here. And then they walk off, and Atsuko was fucking mad. So yeah, here is how the blocks are looking post night number 5. Despite not being perfect anymore, the Persian Queens are still leading with 8 points. But that loss really opened the gates wide open for either Miwako and Maya or the Uprising to sneak in and take the tournament from them. Down to the mat are still not far behind. Birds of Prey, they can still win it. It's going to be a much harder fight for them. They will have to win all of their matches, and the Persian Queens will have to lose at least one more, I think. So they got 5. They could get 9. Yeah, they can't. The Persian Queens cannot win another match if Birds of Prey want to take the tournament from them. But it's still possible. In the purple block, leading now is the Termination. After Romy and Sei drew and then lost, the Termination have snuck up from behind and overtaken Romy and Sei, but Team Sub are not far behind. They are now tied with Romy and Sei with 7 points, and Hi-Fly Royalty are definitely still in the running. Rose Queens, it's another situation where they need the Termination. They need a lot to go right, and they need to win, but they are also not eliminated yet. So this tournament is still looking to be a close race as we go into day number 6. Alright, night 6 is turning out to be the most pivotal night, other than obviously the final night. Night 6 is gonna determine a lot of things. The Termination essentially have a chance to eliminate Hi-Fly Royalty from any contentions in their match tonight. The Persian Queens are taking on Miwako and Maya, where again, if they win a match, Birds of Prey are out. If Birds of Prey lose a match, Birds of Prey are out. Things need to go perfectly for Birds of Prey to have any sort of contentions here. Other than that, who are some of the other teams that are still in the running for things? We have the Uprising, who are taking on Chibi Violence. If the Uprising can win both matches, they'll be in. It's a close race. It's a close race. Down to the mat also, I don't think... Yeah, down to the mat, if they can win both their matches, I mean, there's a lot of teams still in the running. What about the Purple League? Termination are looking like the favorites, but if the Termination lose a match and Team Sub win both of theirs, Team Sub can come from behind and steal it. I think Romy and Sei, if the Termination lose a second match, then that really opens the floodgates for Romy and Sei, Hi-Fly Royalty, and Team Sub. I mean, Hi-Fly Royalty can only... No, they can beat them too. It's close. Rose Queens also, maybe? Wait. 8? I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, if Termination lose both and Rose Queens win both, they can beat them. Yeah, we got shit going on. But let's get to the show. We kick things off with Connie Morris and Kinye defeating some Young Lions in a 42. Monster and Nami, as Nami pins Akira in a 50. And Yu Hashimoto versus Sayuri Honda gets a nice 65. So kicking off the tournament tonight, we have Team Sub, who need to win their next 2 matches. And they start off doing that, as Atsuko submits Chitose Ariwara with the Ariyoshi lockdown. Great match, 63 rated match. Atsuko carried the match. Yeah, Team Sub continue to do what they need to do in this tournament. Next up, we have Queens of the Dam versus Arian Hart. And Arian Hart just have not had a great tournament so far, as they fall. They don't fall, but they draw with Queens of the Damned. 20-minute time limit draw. Arian Hart cannot finish the job. They were already pretty much eliminated, but now it's just about pride, and it's not looking, this team is too strong as a duo compared to Romy and Sei, which you know Eri Sato is doing. But other than that, the match was great, 62 rated match. Following that, we have Lillian Rose versus Sei and Romy, and just as I was saying, Romy and Sei, they get another win here tonight, able to continue their campaign to win the whole thing. They still have a very good chance, as they beat Lillian Rose in 12 minutes and 16 seconds when Sei hits the Northern Lights bomb and gets the victory, 65. What match was that? That was match number 3. Up next, we have the Uprising versus Chibi Violence. And despite the fact that the Uprising need as many wins as they can to keep up with the Persian Queens, their own stablemates, Chibi Violence, who are practically eliminated, aren't going down without a fight. The Uprising might have underestimated or thought Chibi Violence might tank for them, but no. Chibi Violence will not give up, and the Uprising draw with Chibi Violence, setting them back a little farther than they would have liked. And tensions begin to boil over between the two teams. A little bit of shoving, a little bit of like, what the fuck are you mad about between Asami and Emiko, and Atsuko needs to run in and be like, guys, calm the fuck down. Calm down. What the hell is this? No, what the hell is this? You guys can't get mad at them. I get why you're mad. You can't. You didn't win. Alright, get over it. She just has to come in and keep shit under control between her stablemates. Up next, RikaRina. Do take out the Rose Queens. Effectively eliminating them from contention. They might still have a chance to get that second chance title match, AEW Eliminator match or whatever the fuck it is. But in terms of winning the whole thing, their chances are now a 0%. As RikaRina, not the greatest performance overall from RikaRina this tournament, but they aren't to be fucked with. They are a legitimate threat in this team division. And they get the win in 14-19. Following that, we have Down to the Mat versus Birds of Prey. 74 rated match. Great match. Birds of Prey, as I've said many times, need to win all their matches. And they begin and they win. Down to the Mat are, I don't know if they can win it anymore. They might be able to have a chance for the eliminator match, but in terms of winning the whole tournament, it is not looking too good anymore, as Birds of Prey get the victory here in 16 minutes and 20 seconds. Down to the Mat put up one hell of a fight, but were not able to finish it out. Up next, we have Termination versus Hi-Fly Royalty, and in heartbreak for Hi-Fly Royalty, they were hanging on this race by a thread, and with the Termination, I don't believe Hi-Fly Royalty were able to win the tournament, or if they were, it was going to be another fucking Team Sub or Birds of Prey fucking everything needs to go right situation. But with the Termination winning here and Hi-Fly Royalty losing here, it effectively eliminates them from both winning the block and also getting into the title eliminator. And yeah, great match. 17 minutes 59. They gave it their all, but they weren't able to finish it. But now that they are effectively eliminated from contention as a whole, Wounded Warriors come out and they're like, you said you wanted to settle the score. Now that we're both free, what do you say? And Hi-Fly Royalty respond with a, it's on for the pay-per-view. So that's our first either eliminator or tournament finals match that we have for the pay-per-view. And in our main event, if the Persian Queens win, they can eliminate a few teams from winning the block. I don't know, maybe even including Miwako and Maya, who are their opponents, but Miwako and Maya, if they get the win here, I think they overtake them, if not tie them. But speaking of ties, that's exactly what it boils down to, as Miwako and Maya draw with the Persian Queens. It was a close affair. The Persian Queens almost snuck through with it at the end. Maya got a roll-up with like 1950 to go, and it was only a 2 count. Both teams were fighting till the very end, but either team were not able to finish the job, and they get a 74. And now going into the final night, let's look at all the scenarios we have. So the Persian Queens are indeed still leading, not able to get that win. They effectively prevent a tie from happening. If a tie can still happen, if Miwako and Maya lose to Aryan Heart, and the Uprising lose to... Oh no, a tie can happen because the Uprising are facing the Persian Queens. If the Uprising can beat the Persian Queens, they take it from them. Birds of Prey are... They're hanging on by a thread. Birds of Prey are hanging on by a thread. All they can hope for, since the Uprising are facing the Persian Queens, and since both those teams tied tonight, Birds of Prey, all they can hope for is essentially that second chance match. And for that to happen, they would need the Uprising to win and for them to win. So that's what they're banking on. They can only bank on that second chance match. Birds of Prey are facing Chibi Violence tomorrow. So yeah, but we might be lined up for some 2v2v2v2v2 down in the other bracket too, as the Termination still leading the charge. They are taking on Romy and Say next show. So, yeah. One second. Okay. So they're taking on Romy and Say next show. And Team Sub is taking on Hi-Fly Royalty. Alright. So, if Team Sub can win... I'm sorry, I'm using a lot of brain power. If Team Sub can win and the termination lose, then they tie with Romy and Sei. If the termination win, they win it all. Oh man, okay. Shit. All right. Yeah, okay. So Team Sub can win it all if they beat Hi-Fly Royalty. And then no, they can't. Cuz then if they tie, then fuck. Oh my god, this is way more confusing than I thought. So if Team Sub win and the termination and Romy and Sei tie, then we have that fucking open the show, Team Sub versus termination, winner goes to the main event. And yeah. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay, yeah. So a close race. That's where we're at. Here's the brackets. All right. Time to get into the last show. All right, we are here for the final night of the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. There's still no definite winner. There's still a lot of outcomes that we can still have. In the gold block, the Persian Queens, as long as they win their match, they're a lock. But if they draw or lose and Miwako and Maya win, then Miwako and Maya can only tie. Uprising can win it all with a win and a Miwako and Maya loss or draw. Persian Queens can win it with a win or a draw and a Miwako Maya lose or draw. So yeah, the cards are really in the Persian Queen's favor here. Same thing with the termination. If the termination can draw and Team Sub don't win, so they lose or draw, termination clinch it. Termination win, and then nobody can take them. And if Romy and Sei win, and then Team Sub don't, Romy and Sei can take it. So a lot of possible outcomes here tonight in the final tournament day. So we kick things off with some Young Lion matches. The 3v3 gets a 48. Nami Genda does really well. And 62, obviously the tag champs are going to do pretty fucking well. So starting things off is Termination versus Romy and Sei. And in 20 minutes, Romy and Sei cannot get the victory, meaning that the Termination currently have 11 points and Romy and Sei have 10. So Team Sub need to win their match or else it is over for them. If they win, they can draw it. If they lose, it's over, and then Team Sub and Romy and Sei would be then added to the second chance match. You need to score, essentially, the goal is if you score 10 points, you are in the second chance match. So that's for everybody here as well. Alright, Down to the Mat versus Queens of the Damned. And the Cinderella run didn't really amount to anything, and they were already kind of in the coffin in the sense that, like, they couldn't really win anything, not even a second chance match. But losing once again to Queens of the Damned really solidified, like, hey, they started out really well. There's flashes of greatness, but this team isn't quite ready for the big time. And Queens of the Damned do get a point here. 2 points, sorry, 2. Following that, we have a 10-minute draw. Yes, a 10-minute draw, because I realized that every single draw is a time limit. This match wasn't going to be great, per se. But, yeah, so it's a draw between Lillian Rose and RikaRina. When all 4 members spill to the outside, they can't make it back into the time of 20. They just keep fighting. They ignore the time clock. And we have our first non-20-minute draw in any Grand Prix on this save. So, 38, not a great match, but, hey, I didn't feel like doing another time limit draw, especially between Lillian Rose and RikaRina. Following that, we have Miwako and Maya versus Arian Hart. And Miwako and Maya are not able to get the victory. There's still a chance that they can tie for, with the Uprising, but there's no scenario where Miwako and Maya can win or even get a second chance match, as they finish with 9 points in a heartbreaking tie to Eri Sato and Heart Saito. And Miwako and Maya, they look at each other and they're kind of like, fuck, alright. But then they both look at each other and they're like, they nod. They've realized something, but we don't know what it is yet. 68 for this match. Up next is... where are we? We're match number 5. Up next, we have Wounded Warriors versus the Rose Queens in a match that was supposed to end in a draw, but I realized that we have too many draws. I'm sorry, Wounded Warriors, but the Rose Queens do take this match now, getting a 58. Good match from both teams, and the Rose Queens come out on top. Up next, we have Birds of Prey versus Chibi Violence, and Birds of Prey did everything they were supposed to do, but with the way that the tournament was lined out, they were doomed from the start going into this match. One of the biggest powerhouses was kind of always fighting from behind in a surprising storyline here, and they just weren't able to execute. They were also eliminated from any sort of contentions. They at least, I believe, finished with 9 points, if I'm not mistaken. They did finish with 9 points, but again, because the Uprising and the Persian Queens are going head-to-head against each other tonight, there's no scenario where they can even score a tie to clinch the gold stars. And that was what Miwako and Maya realized after their draw. They looked at each other like, you know what, it's go time. And Miwako comes out and she says, look, you ran this whole tour. You ran from me this whole tour. Give me the title shot. And Higa says, no. I already beat you. You haven't earned it. And Higa and Jemmy try to leave, but Miwako doesn't let them. And she says, fine. I know a way to get you to give me what I want. You did it to Yuma Maruya. Let's do it. Me versus you. Me and Maya versus you and Jemmy. If you pin Maya, or you pin me, I will not be allowed to challenge you for the title as long as you're champion. But if I pin you, or I pin Jemmy, I get my world title match at Final Attack. I think that's the name. Final Battle's the ROH pay-per-view, right? Yeah, at Final Attack. And Fuyuko Higa, she stops, and she's like, I can pin Maya? And she says, yeah. And Higa says, you're on. So we have the wager once again. Will a second person fall to the curse of Birds of Prey at the pay-per-view? Miwako made it both easier and harder on herself. The finish could be Jemmy pins Maya, and Miwako can't challenge, but that's the risk she's willing to take because she wants this rematch that badly. Next segment, we have Hi-Fly Royalty versus Team Sub, and Team Sub do it. They get the victory. Hi-Fly Royalty, they go their hardest, but they can't make the upset. They can't cost Team Sub the clincher for the purple block. And in the final match of the purple block, that means kicking off the Dynamo Tag show. It will be... Oh, it's gone. Okay. It will be the Termination versus the Team Sub. The winner goes to the main event to compete for the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix, and the losers will then take on Torment Sorrow in the last chance match, where if the losers can beat Torment Sorrow, they will be added to the tag title match at Final Attack. If not, they walk away with nothing. So Romy and Sei got their spot usurped at the very last minute by Team Sub. They don't finish with any points. And yeah, there's then a face-to-face between Atsuko, Chieko, and Toku and Unstoppable. Just a face-to-face. This is going to be kicking off the pay-per-view. But in our main event, who will go on to the finals? Will it be the Persian Queens? Will it be the Uprising? Winner take all. If it goes to a draw, the Persian Queens take it. And it went to a draw. The Uprising did everything they could. It was one hell of a performance. Near fall after near fall, but Megumi and Yuma kept kicking out. That's the story of the match, is the Uprising surprisingly kind of had the upper hand the whole match, but were never able to finish the job. And in a 74 rated main event, the Persian Queens clinched the gold block and will be waiting in the main event for whoever can come out of the purple block. And we have a post-show press conference where essentially Eri Sato finally confronts Romy. She's like, fucking, let's go. I waited till that show was over. I waited till it was over because you had a chance. You had a chance to be in a different match. I don't want any excuses from you. I don't want, oh, I'm not going to work double duty. Oh, I was weak. That's why you won. I want our match. Me and Hart versus you and Sei. And Romy and Sei, they look at each other and they're like, yeah, no, you can have your match. But only if Monster's a part of it. We want a 3v3. And Eri and Hart respond with, we don't have a third tag partner. We don't have another member of Icon Idols. The Hi-Fly Royalty are booked. Paige Croft's injured. Persian Queens are booked. And they're like, well, then I guess you don't get your match. And Eri Sato slams her fist down on the table. She says, no. We'll find somebody. And Hart looks at her like, what the fuck? We don't have anybody. But Eri Sato wanted somebody. And that is how the tournaments end. Here's the final reports. I'm gonna be honest, guys. The live chat knows this. I fucked up here. I fucked up the purple block. I was able to salvage it. The card will be virtually unchanged other than the fact that we have added a termination and team sub match that wasn't supposed to happen. I messed up. I did mess up. Let me see if I can show you the spreadsheet. No, I don't want to show you the spreadsheet because that'll spoil the finals. I'll show you the spreadsheet afterwards. But essentially, when I plan these round robins out, I have a spot that has these planned out, the full brackets, and then I have to have each night planned out one by one, or else I will soft lock myself and get to a point where I run out of shows and either have to double book or add a show and risk injury. And that's something I experienced in a BCG personal save. So essentially what happened was Romy and Sei were supposed to lose to Hi-Fly Royalty on night 3. And I put that in during the block portion of my pre-booking. But going night by night, I had accidentally put Romy and Sei to win. So I had to work around that. And yeah, so if you noticed, I've seemed a little upset. I still think the tournament turned out really well. We got a 71 here. I think the tournament turned out really well, but it's just a little upsetting that I fucked up my vision. I felt like it was supposed to be even better. The psychology of the gold block was going to be even better because all these teams would have finished with 9 points and they'd be rooting against Team Sub, and then Team Sub sneaks it out and wins it, and then they're all out. And, yeah, unfortunately, that's, shit happens. It's still pretty good, just not as good as I would have hoped. But with that, I hope you are all excited to get to this pay-per-view. Alright, we are here for Dynamo Tag. We got a fun match card. A couple things I didn't pre-book ahead of time, so let me run down the card. Of course, opening, since there was a draw in the purple block, the Termination versus Team Sub will determine who goes to the main event to face the Persian Queens. And the winner will, of course, face Torment Sorrow in the second chance, final chance, AEW Eliminator, whatever you want to call it, match, where if the losing team in the opener can win that one, they will be added to the Tag Team Championship match at Final Attack. But other than that, second, we have a fun triangle tag team match between the Rose Queens, Queens of the Damned, and Lillian Rose. So yeah, Hi-Fly Royalty and Wounded Warriors will get their rematch that they wanted. After they went to a 20-minute time limit draw, they wanted to settle the score in the standard 30 minutes. We have a 4v4 between Best Ever's The Uprising and Chibi Violence versus Chicas Locas Quad Squad, which, if you remember, The Uprising and Chibi Violence did kind of have a scuffle there, so will they be able to put their differences aside for the sake of the unit? And the Quad Squad specifically, RikaRina talks some mad shit about Best Ever as a whole, and Down to the Mat got into a scuffle with either the Uprising or Chibi Violence during the tournament. So there is a lot of bad blood going into that one. We have a 3v3, maybe 3v2 match, depending on if Eri Sato and Heart Saito can find a third partner to take on Monster, Sei, and Romy. Third from last, of course, is the final chance match, Torment Sorrow versus the losers of the opener. Our semi-main is Miwako and Maya versus Birds of Prey, with the stipulation that if Miwako and Maya lose, Miwako will not be able to challenge Fuyuko Higa for the world title as long as she's champion. And if Miwako and Maya can beat any member of Birds of Prey, the opposite happens. And at Final Attack, Miwako Katsukawa will finally get her world title rematch that she's been wanting. And then, of course, ending the show are the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix finals. Gold block winners, Persian Queens versus either the purple block winners, Termination or Team Sub, depending on who wins the opener. And who wins the opener? Why, it is Team Sub, of course. It got a little penalty for not being long enough, but I don't want to fucking kill these four, since they're both working double duty. And unfortunately for the termination, it only goes 14 minutes and 41 seconds when Etsuko submits Toku with the Ariyoshi lockdown, meaning that Team Sub advance to the finals and are one step closer to getting their tag title rematch that Etsuko's been fucking fiending for. But who's in their way? None other than the Persian Queens, who Team Sub said directly to last pay-per-view when they lost to the Persian Queens to stay out of their fucking way. So that's main eventing tonight. Etsuko got an 85, beautiful. Following that, we have the Rose Queens versus Lily and Rose and Queens of the Damned. And of course, I'm going to put the people that are actually employed full-time by me over. Just a final farewell match for these two teams. I might bring them back next year. I might bring them back sporadically. They all did really well. Queen Amazon and Del Diablo are a little older, so they weren't nearly as good as Debbie, Rose, and Kate Lily, but they are still some pretty good talents. So one final farewell match and another win in the books for Zofia Jankovic and Thea Davis. Following that, we have Hi-Fly Royalty versus Wounded Warriors, 30-minute time limit. Speaking of time limits, forgot to mention, the Tag Grand Prix Finals does not have the 20-minute time limit because we do not want the tournament to end in a tie. There is no time limit for that. So, yeah. But I ordered this wrong. I'm sorry. No, it is not time for Hi-Fly Royalty versus Wounded Warriors. It's because this match couldn't go 20 minutes because I ran out of time. But yeah, so Best Ever were able to put their differences aside that one night. They didn't seem out of step or mad at each other at all. It was literally just tensions rose over that one time. The Uprising got over it. Chibi Violence got over it. Atsuka Ariyoshi talked some sense to them, and they were able to defeat the teams that were causing them agony from outside of the group and put them to sleep after Selena's Valette literally puts Hoshiko Tagawa to sleep with the prawn arm lock. Yeah, she passed out from pain. It doesn't need to be a neck hold to pass out. Yeah, now we have the 20 minute and 56 seconds. So if that first match would have just went 56 or so seconds, we probably would have seen a finish. But this time, in the rematch to settle the score, Hi-Fly Royalty defeat the Wounded Warriors in 2056, getting a nice clean 64. Good match here. Good match here. Wounded Warriors are a really fun team. I really like them, so I hope they can get some more pop quickly. But yeah, 64 here tonight. Up next, were Icon Idols able to find a partner? And if so, who? Well, the answer was yes, and that who is Sakura Sada. Now, I don't expect many people to know the lore of 5SSW, especially since I didn't really know it before this save. And as I was looking for more people to fleshing out the roster, thanks to the Paige Croft and Lady Lotus and Karen and Shiori injuries, I came across Sakura Sada and Chitose Ariwara, and I both liked their stories, where Chitose left, or she got let go because she kept getting injured, and Sakura, used to have this bird gimmick. She called herself the Hawk. She dressed as a bird, and it was kind of over, but I guess it didn't really elevate her past the jobber status, so she was let go. And since then, she has improved herself on the independent scenes. She's a lot better. She doesn't do the bird gimmick anymore. She still calls herself the Hawk, but not like, oh, look at me, I'm a bird. Like, oh, I'm a fucking Apex Predator Hawk. Wink, because of Apex. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, so I've brought back Sakura Sada as a member of Icon Idols to give her a second chance as a rebranded person, teaming with Eri Sato and Haru Saito. Apex were kind of caught off guard again in the second pay-per-view in a row where they weren't sure if their opponents were gonna bring in a person, but they did, and Eri Sato gets the pinfall victory over Romi Yamato, hitting the buzzsaw kick, getting the win. Sakura Sada didn't do great in her debut, but she's brand new to the roster, so give her a few months to fully get acclaimed. 70 rated match, really good match. But yeah, afterwards, Eri Sato grabs the microphone and essentially says to Romi, "You can't run from me much longer. I will get my singles match. I will get my revenge. You threw out what was looking to be one of the greatest tag teams in 5SSW history. You threw that out for a bunch of people who won't even have your back if you lose too much. So I hope you enjoy the bed you've made, because I'm going to make sure you lie in it for your eternal rest." And that's got a 44. Really good match. All right. Up next is the final chance match. And, I know this is a longer video because it's a tournament, but if you remember when the tournament started, this was supposed to be a tag title match. And then I realized how stupid that was. So, if you remembered that, it probably made the outcome of this match a little more predictable, as the Termination lose 2 times in one night, which might be disheartening for a lot of people, but their performance in the Tag Grand Prix was really strong. So if I'm them, I wouldn't be disheartened by this at all. Even though Yu Hashimoto and Maki Yoshifumi were able to win tonight, great match. Yu got an 85. Yeah, they gave it all they got, but they couldn't come out with the win. Alright, semi-main, Miwako and Maya versus Birds of Prey. Did Miwako screw herself just like Yuma screwed herself? Or did she get her title match? In 22 minutes, there was no doubt. There's going to be no excuses now, because even with the added wrinkles of, oh, Maya can get pinned, or Maya can be the one to win, or Jemmy can be the one to win, or Jemmy can be the one that gets pinned, it didn't matter. Because when it came down to it, Miwaku Katsukawa pins the current 5SSW World Champion and will finally get her world title rematch at Final Attack. And I'll pre-book that now, because I think I forgot. Fuyuko Higa. Main eventing Final Attack, Miwako and Fuyuko, number 2. And fucking 90, 85, incredible effort from the Birds of Prey. You love to see it. You really love to see it. And, yeah, angle afterwards where essentially Miwako picks up the belt, says, "It's only a matter of time till this is mine again," before handing it back to Higa. And then we get into the main event. Team Sub versus the Persian Queens. It is not often, it's almost never, I do rematches from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. Japanese, American, Canadian, no matter what the promotion, I almost never do it unless there's a reason. And the reason was that this match is happening because it's the finals of a tournament. Will Team Sub finally be able to shake the stigma of, oh, this group was better when Shiori was around it, or you'll never be as good as a team like Birds of Prey or the Persian Queens, or will the Persian Queens get the tag title match and Yuma will be able to get some sort of revenge on Apex for delaying another championship win for who knows how long now. And in the main event, winning the 2022 Dynamo Tag Grand Prix in 24 minutes, it is none other than Etsuko Ariyoshi and Chieko Kita, defeating the Persian Queens in an 89 rated match. Chieko got a 47. I don't care. Etsuko got an 87. Great fucking performance. She had to work twice. She got better throughout the night. I'm sorry, Megumi. I'm sorry you got roped into this, but this is Team Sub's tournament. They've been fucking pestering and pestering. They tried to do the Weasley route. They tried to get the tag title rematch through the Weasley route, and it didn't work. So you know what? They put their heads down. They fucking did what they said they were going to do, and that is win the Dynamo Tag Grand Prix. And to end the show, Etsuko cuts a promo saying it's finally here. I've finally done it. Nobody can say anything now. Those tag titles are ours, and we're going to solidify with one more tag title reign that we are the greatest team in this company's history. Finished the show. We got an 82. Sakura Sada was used too much. Who gives a shit? The main event got an 89. First off, Yuko got a 90. Sorry. But Etsuko worked twice, and she got an 87 in the finals. And somebody else got an 85. Who got an 85 earlier in the show? Etsuko got an 85. I'm sorry. Etsuko gets the awesome. She worked twice, and she had 2 great performances. I'll give Higa and Jemmy their praise. Boom, boom, boom. We made $23,000. We gained another popularity point in Kansai. Things are going great for 5SSW. Yeah, so like I said, I'll take the time quickly. You know what? While I'm simming, let me pull up the spreadsheet so I can show you what I mean. So I can visually show you how I fucked up the tournament. It wasn't a big fuck up. Instead of having Team Sub win the whole thing, I just had to do a match before that, which thank God I fucking teased that. Thank God I teased that. Okay, so here we are. Here's how it looks. Here's how they look. So as you can see, this is way too zoomed in. Okay, so as you can see, first thing I do, I pre-book these, and I go like match by match. I'm like, okay, who I want to win these and all that. So as you can see here, they were supposed to lose to Hi-Fly Royalty. But like I said, unless I plan out night by night, I will soft lock myself. I will get to night 7, and it's like, fuck, Down to the Mat needs to face Queens of the Damned. But Queens of the Damned can't face, it's I don't know, it's like, okay, here's what I mean. Down to the Mat needs to face Birds of Prey and Aryan Heart, but Birds of Prey needs to face Down to the Mat and Miwako and Maya, and Aryan Heart need to face Down to the Mat and Queens of Damned, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've soft-locked myself multiple times doing it that way. So, as you can see, I have it here, but for some reason, when I got to night 3, I put Romy and Sei to win, and it kind of ruined a lot of the edge. What the fuck? Sorry. It kind of ruined a lot of the edge for the gold block, but, I mean, it still turned out pretty well. Just not, it didn't go how I wanted it to, and it's a little upsetting. But other than that, I think it was a good pay-per-view. I did everything in my power to sabotage it, and I still overcame myself. So, yeah, that means that is the second Team Sub Dynamo Tag Grand Prix victory. They'll be looking for their 4th tag title reign. Let me pre-book that for Final Attack. And that is the only 2 matches we have pre-booked so far. So despite the fact that, this video is pretty long, and I kind of botched a lot of it, I still hope you all enjoyed. I'm sorry, I guess. I don't like messing things up. I don't, it's very disheartening sometimes, but, yeah, I hope you all still enjoyed, and I hope you all come back for the next episode where we will hold the final episode of 5SSW of the year 2022.